Hey everybody, this is Justin with M Carbo, and today we have a CZ P-10 by popular request. Everybody keeps asking us how do we install our wonderful little Omega trigger here, and you know what? I am going to show you all how we get that done today. So let's go ahead and get into it. Got our piece right here. We're just going to set that up there. For today we're going to need trigger, all the fun stuff with that. Also going to need a little blue Loctite. And just to make our lives a little bit easier, we're going to go ahead and grab some of this here super lube. It's grease. We're going to need it for one specific part in there, and I'll let you guys know when we get there. No worries. So first things first, as with all firearms, we're going to make sure that it is in fact safe. Visually inspect the mag well, breech, chamber, put your finger in there, make sure there ain't nothing up in there. Now, we're good to go. Alright, after you've made sure that the weapon is safe, make sure you're not pointing it at anything, and go ahead and pull that trigger. It's going to need to be pulled in order to get this slide to come off. Now on either side of the slide, you will see this here, and this little tab here. So we're going to grab the grip of the gun, pull back with these two fingers just slightly. You don't want to pull back too far, otherwise it will not come off proper. And then just slide those two pins down, push them down, slide them down, whichever you may prefer. And bada bing, bada boom. We are good to go. Now, before we get into actually taking that apart, let's go ahead and see what all comes in our little package here. We have got our instructions, including with this video. You're also going to have all of this information as well. So that way, if you have any questions, any concerns, you should be able to address this. But as always, we'll always be here for you. Pull out this little card here. Yeah, we'll just set that there for right now. This is going to be our adjustment block for the pre-travel screw and the over-travel screw. We have our actual little trigger here. 2 set screws. A striker spring, get to that last. And our .035 hex tool. Alrighty. So, pull up our bench block over here. Now, me personally, I like to go from back to front when it comes to our pins. So we're going to take our 3 30-seconds punch here. Going to go to this back FCU pin. It's not called the FCU pin, but that's what holds it in, so that's what I call it. One pin down. Now this pin in particular, this pin, always has a problem with the actual punch sitting on it. So make sure you take this one just a little bit slower, otherwise you're going to miss it. But you do it, comes out, bada bing, bada boom. Then we got our front coil pin. Comes out. Now our trigger pivot pin here. This should be able to just press right out. Don't really need to do too much hammering with it. And as you can already see that this is already starting to want to come apart. So we're going to go ahead and grab our insert and our slide release. No, we're not. We're going to go ahead and do this part because you don't want to forget silly things. So this is going to be our disassembly lever. We're going to want to push down on it. And then as you can see, it's coming out here on the side. So just to go back from that, again, this side, before you try to actually pull this out, don't be me, learn from my mistakes. Push that down just a little bit, and you'll see a little lip on the inside. You push that down, push it to the side, and then just slowly guide it out, and it comes out. Now, once you've gotten to this point, inside of right here, there is a little piece of plastic with a spring in it that is very tiny and likes to come out. There it is. So this little guy right here, this is what we are going to need that grease for here in a minute. So, got all that out. Just going to go ahead and pop out FCU. Set that off to the side there. We've got our trigger shoe, trigger, everything all set here. Super simple and easy. Nothing too crazy with it. Gonna go ahead and pop out this here trigger pin. Comes right out. Keep that nearby. You're gonna need it. Gonna take our competition Omega trigger here. And it's just simple plug and play. It's going to have this little slot here. And actually, one real quick, since I've got you right here, guys, I want to show you. On the inside of this here, in this slot, is where we're going to put our over travel. And this is where we're going to have our pre-travel spring. Alrighty. Or pin. Pre-travel screws. But no worries. We got you. So, again, back to that. I'm going to go to here. Grab our little pin, pop it in there. Now do be careful, because this pin does not like to stay in there as it does with the plastic one, because it bites into it. This one's a little bit smoother, so you do have to be careful with that. Now you have our over travel and our pre-travel adjustment block here. I'm going to show you how that works. Insert it just like so, a little slot for it. And then I'm going to go ahead and come over here. Grab our two little set screws, well, over travel and pre-travel screws. We're going to take this hex key, and there is a little hole where the hex key is supposed to go. I highly suggest that you insert the hex key into the screw before trying to put it in the trigger, otherwise you will run into a little bit of difficulty. And again, we're just going to screw it in. Now you want to make sure, at bare minimum, you want to screw it in so that it's just below that hole there, because if it's not below that hole, you will not get the pin in there that needs to go in there later. And then for this one, same thing. Now for this particular assembly, because we take this apart, put it back together for videos for you guys, I'm not putting blue Loctite on these. Normally, for this type of a situation, you would definitely want to use some blue Loctite, put it directly here on the threads, and then inserts into the trigger and then tighten it down. But again, I take this thing apart so many different times just to make videos for you guys, so we just want to make sure that that is... There we go. Give me 1 second here. This is not wanting to cooperate with me. I seem to be having a little bit of difficulty with that, but so you don't have to use the bench block, or you don't have to use the adjustment block. It's a nifty little tool, but it's not absolutely necessary. You can still insert just like that. Then when you do it, you're basically doing it until you feel some tension on the trigger bar. You don't want to overscrew it or too much, because if you do, you will not be able to reset the trigger. I've already done it a couple of times while preparing to make this video for you guys. So learn from my mistakes. Alright, again, that's on there. We got the pre-travel adjusted. We've got the over-travel adjusted. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and just get this back in here. Get this bad boy back in here. And again, it's nothing too terribly difficult. It's simple. Put it in there, and it locks back down. Now, on occasion, this little pin right here, this is a spring-loaded pin. It doesn't want to always go down. All you got to do is depress it, pop it down. It's good to go. Now we've got our insert and our slide catch. Now with the slide catch and the insert, very big part about putting this thing back together. Again, learn from my mistakes. You want to make sure that this spring that you see here, it's running along this inside here, there is a little slot right there you should be able to see, and you want to make sure that that spring is sitting on top of that. That's what gives your trigger the ability to reset. So you're going to insert it, be very careful, slide it in, and then just down. You'll hear it click, and it goes in there, and that's all set. Now once you have it there, my first recommendation is, once you have that set, is to go ahead, grab your front pin there, Just give it a little tap to make sure that stays in there. Grab your 3/30 seconds punch. And now that pin has traveled home. Then I would also recommend, again, this is my personal preference and way of doing things, make sure that all the parts don't move when we're trying to do our next bit. Come out. Thank you. Alright, so before we go to put the trigger pivot pin in, we need to get the disassembly bar and this lovely little guy back in there. So remember how I was talking to you about this lovely little guy earlier and he was going to be a pain? Well, here's why. This is two pieces. You have this little plastic piece, and then you have this little spring. That spring fits in that little hole right there. And this is when you're going to want to grab some of your super lube grease. And you don't need a lot. Don't need a lot for it. Just enough to put it right there in that little hole. So you got a little bit in there. Grab your spring. Put it in there. And the spring doesn't come out. You're not going to lose that. On the firearm itself, you're going to look for this little cutout right here. Should you see that? Yep, there we go. Perfect. See that little cutout? That's where you're going to want to put this. Now, this is a little particular bit of a pain because it has to be exact or it doesn't want to go in. But you do it right, pops right back in. Now, once you have that in there, you're going to take our disassembly bar again. And you'll notice on this disassembly bar that it has an actual like lip. You don't want this side towards the back of the gun. You want the lip right here, this little lip there. You want that facing towards the rear of the firearm. You're going to slide it in there, just like so. You're going to put it in at an angle, and then push down, and slide it the whole way through, and boom. Reassembled, all set. And then now, the piece de resistance. Now this part's not too terribly difficult again. We need to put this pin in here. So, easiest way that I have found to do this, to get this all set back up and make sure it's all pretty, if you want to push down on this little bar that's right in here, you should be able to see it pretty well there. That bar right there. You want to push down on that and push forward just a smidge. And that should give you a perfectly aligned hole for you to just push the trigger through. There we go. Make sure that you're also not crazy and that you're looking at it from the right angle. See, goes right in. Super simple, not that difficult at all. And now this is put back together and this is all set for us. So, last but not least, we have to upgrade our striker spring. Now this part we do want to be a little bit careful because some of these parts are very hard to find if you lose them. This spring is, unlike most firearms, this spring is not attached. It's not a whole power assembly. So when you pop this off, it'll fly a little bit. And that spring is, as you can see, not attached. So be careful when pulling that apart. Gonna go ahead and take out our barrel, pull it forward, pull it back. Now we've got the rest of our slide. So actually getting out your striker assembly is not difficult really too terribly at all. What you're going to look for is this little lip right here. So right there you'll see that little lip. It's got that little lever sitting next to it. What you're going to do is push down on that lip with your punch, and then with your forefinger right here, you're going to push up on that back plate, take the back plate off, and then slide the whole assembly out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now this is where we do run into some, you want to be very careful and pay attention, because this right here is two separate pieces. It is not one piece. So when I put the assembly in here. Okay, so we got the assembly in there, so that it sits, looks all nice and pretty. Watch these two parts here, because they are going to be difficult. See, that's one. That's two. Just so you guys can both kind of see them. There they are. And that spring's going to come right up. Super easy. Comes up, comes off. Put your other spring back on. Push it down. And then take both of your pieces of your end caps. Being very careful, because again, they will get lost. And allow it back up. Again, nothing too much to it. Assembly's a breeze. Go ahead and just reinsert as per normal. And then we're going to grab our slide cap. I like to have it just sat there already because it makes this part a little bit easier. So again, we're going to pull back on this striker assembly and then just maneuver the slide cap. Falls right down into place. Bada bing, bada boom. And then your standard reinsert barrel. Reinsert recoil spring. And then put back together. And just a function test. Yes, that feels so nice and crisp. Well, folks, there you have it. That's a disassembly, reassembly, and installing a brand new Omega trigger into a CZ P-10. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for asking for the video. It was kind of fun learning how to do this one for you. And if you have anything else, please let us know. Either drop us a line on the in an email, give us a call. Let us know what you guys need. We got you. Thank you.